Let's start with DKS, Cody, Dick's Sporting Goods, breaking out here, or at least knocking on the door here today. Found lots of pullbacks. So might as well start with one of the breakouts that we're potentially seeing here on Dick's Sporting Goods.
So
interest, Tim?
80, or are you looking at this kind of zone with these wicks? Wicking or not?
It's the 1-2 punch. I think at this point in time, the wick beating the wick doesn't take any more money, right? That's okay. What, at 80.32, I believe it was. So it's very, very little. Might as well make sure we push through it. So it's kind of a 1-2 punch where we're kind of breaking out of this little short-term high base over the last week and that old wick. Whether that matters or not, who knows for sure. But I like that we're getting rid of it.
Mm-hmm. I got to tell you, I absolutely love the pattern. No doubt about it. I'm looking at that's an all-time high, right?
Correct.
For Dick's. Yeah, that's an all-time high. I'm looking across the industry, and specialty retail is kind of a niche little industry within the discretionary sector, but some of its competitors, it's kind of hard to find something, anything better than what Dick's is showing me right now. I mean, you got At Home Group, HOME, different type of company, obviously, but in that space, breaking into a new high. But I think you're catching Dick's a lot cleaner, and that one's had earnings in front of it as well. Bed Bath & Beyond, BBBY. See, so many of these retail names got swept up in the GameStop garbage, in January.
Right.
And so it broke their charts up, and there's nothing wrong with BBBY, but that's not what Dick's is showing. Dick's is, go back to DKS. What I love about this is I'm looking across the space. It's just a clean technical chart breaking into a new high off of a month-and-a-half long consolidation. So absolutely, I have interest. Yeah.
So, yeah, I was pretty impressed with the way they have held up, because you're absolutely right. They've held up a little bit better than some of their friends.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Anybody, Cody, Greg, want to claim it before we move on?
Yeah, no argument there. I love a breakout as much as the next guy. So
Cody was promised a pizza party. He doesn't want to add any commentary right now because then it delays lunch, right? We got the super chat earlier. We're gonna have pizzas. Of course. No, I'm just
all right. Fair enough, Cody. Right. Fair enough, Cody. All right. A little bit of a different look on GPS on the gap. Got a little bit of a flag developing here on these characters. I still remember you guys making fun of me when they got the partnership with Kanye.
I did.
It was Matt. Matt's not here to defend himself.
It's true. No, Kanye signing. Actually, if you think back, that was last July, and I think it was almost then, somewhere around that time in the summer, I believe.
Yeah.
Look at what this stock has done since then. Now it's not just Kanye, but it's got juice, right?
It's definitely been strong. Got a little flag developing off of that 9 EMA. Not really a ton of resistance until we get into the mid 34s, I would say, 34 to 35 range, probably kind of the target zone that I would have in mind. But just a little, play off the 9, right? I mean, if you think about the 9 plays, and I think this can kind of come back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier on Apache, you're basically, I don't want to use this term, but I'm going to. You're basically betting the 9 holds, right? Where we pulled back into the 9, whether it's a little snapback or a little flag that's developed. And so for me, I want to move in pretty quickly, and I want to move out pretty quickly. If that 9 fails, if that low of that candle that bounced off the 9 fails, that's just, I'll throw in the towel, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's, if I'm wrong, hopefully it's not going to cost me a lot. If I'm position sizing the right way, it won't. If I'm right, hey, there is quite a bit of upside. There's a ton of momentum, right? As Tim pointed out, both, kind of longer term or medium term, but certainly in the last little while, very, very strong momentum. So as a trader, I always try my best to find momentum. So I always try to do that. Cody, a little bit of a flag maybe on these guys. Think I could kind of play in and just without getting too nutty here, above today's high?
Yeah, I would take it above today's high. I'm not worried about that wick. When it comes to a flag like this, yeah, above today's high. For flags, I like to look at the intraday chart, just kind of see, is there any like intraday pattern, high base, or something that I can get into. Right. And looking at that, I do think that, today's high is really the only entry point onto that flag. If we had something like a higher base, like even here, had you tried to get in earlier today, then I'd be okay with that one. But I think with this pattern that's got going towards the close of the day, I think your entry would be on Monday above today's high.
So let me ask you this, Cody, would you prefer that flag type of pattern on Gap, or maybe something like on Nordstrom's JWN that really took off, late last week, breaking into some, newer highs? I don't think they're the all-time highs, but we did take out an old level of resistance that kind of had a little bit of a snapback.
So flags versus pullbacks. I actually kind of like flags a little bit better. However, the flag that we were looking at on Gap, it had run really high up into that first. So it had more of a run before it did this flag. So, but if it was like a 2-day flag, I'd like it more than Nordstrom. But Nordstrom, the fact that it was 2 days, even though it was strong momentum, I kind of like this one a little bit better. But typically, I like flags better than pullbacks, because to me it just shows that there's not as much profit-taking selling conviction, and not quite a base, but still just a little profit-taking at the top. So I usually like flags more than pullbacks, but in particular, this one with the 2-day snap pullback versus the, what was it, like a 6-7 day run on GPS?
Yeah, something like that, probably 5 or 6.
I just think that ran a little bit hot for me. A part of me would be more cautious on this. I'd probably decrease my position size for that reason. But between the two, I take flags over pullbacks, but those charts, I'm taking the pullback over the flag.
Fair enough. Greg, would you?
I actually like that Nordstrom. I really like the way that's set up. It's come back to the, I guess it had a couple of candles over, I don't know, about 3-4 weeks ago there. It's come right back to there. So you've got that level, right across there. You got that level holding the 9. I think that's fantastic. You got a hammer candle today from a technical setup. That's my jam, man. I think that looks pretty awesome. I'd have to go Nordstrom's over the flag. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big flag pattern guy too. I like those as well. I just think this one sets up a little bit nicer myself.
Yeah, it's a tough call. Yeah, it's a tough call. I was debating them myself. I got to do it because it's not very often. FE, a little utility company. So
and REITs.
You're getting crazy today. This is what happens when Matt's not around. We can go crazy on utilities and REITs here. So First Energy here. What I really like about First Energy is that you can kind of see they really had gone sideways for quite some while after gapping down on what I believe was an earnings last summer. Basically gone sideways, finally broke out of that resistance level, starting to show some upward characteristics, right? And so today's hammer candle doesn't hurt by any means. There's a lot of work to do, right? Mostly I wanted to take an opportunity to talk about a utility company that at least was kind of interesting. So I won't, if anybody wants it, they can have it. If not, I'm going to move on. But you don't get too many utilities, right? We had AES about a month ago, so you take them when you can find them.
AES, Cody, AES. But going back on that other one though,
what was that one that
FE?
FE.
39-cent dividend times 4, Greg. That's $1.60 on a $35 stock. I'm guessing that's about a 5% dividend, and the technicals are in line here. Any interest, Greg? This is your wheelhouse.
Yeah, well, let me just do a little something here, and I'll tell you how much interest I have, because dividends are nice, but how reliable are they is my question. 4.5%, 2 years, 1998. Yeah, it's got a different personality. It's one of those energy plays, and this is typical for or not energy, utility plays, where their dividend isn't how do I say it? It's kind of all over the map of what they actually pay out. It's not steady, which is what I look for. I like the technical pattern here. I think you get a nice little move out of this here. Longer term, it's not bad. It's not my wheelhouse, but it's not bad. I think there's better out there from a dividend perspective, but overall, I could do this as a swing trade for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting. I appreciate always hearing old money. He didn't get to be old money on accident. So, right. I always appreciate to get your take. All right, let's look at something more exciting. Let's look at Valvoline. We've talked about trucks, right? VVV, Cody. So Valvoline here recently broke into all-time highs. That would have been I don't know, a couple weeks back, that little breakout that you saw there around $25 or so had a nice little pop, and we've basically just drifted as that 9 has been creeping up along the way, putting together a little bit of a high base on Valvoline here. What do we think about a little high base breakout on Valvoline, Tim?
I see it. I would not fault somebody. It wouldn't be a trade I would take. I'll tell you why. I don't love the history of the wiki candles when it goes into these little ranges. If I was gonna trade this, Frank, I think I would do a T1 quick pop and just take it if I got it, because it's there.
That makes sense.
You know, it's there. This is when I may not even go for T2. And I know it's trending and all that kind of stuff, but this might just be a quick hitter for me. But some of the choppiness of the candles just grabs my eyes, and maybe it just is my own bias. It's very possible that's what that is.
Yeah.
But I don't like that part of it. But I see the breakout up there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've never traded Valvoline myself, so when I saw the kind of the 1-2 punch of the recent break in the little high base developing here, caught my attention. But I could see where you're coming from there. It's not the smoothest of characters. Maybe a good little one for like an intraday trade, right?
Yeah, it could be.
Intraday breakout trade. I got to do one more because I very rarely get a chance to do it. And what about WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment? Don't get too many times to bring up.
Are they making money again?
I think so. I mean, they've held up pretty well during the last year. They just recently moved their WWE network over to Peacock, to the NBC Universal streaming service. So maybe more eyes on the product. I don't know how that will all work out, but they did move that over there. Now, I was initially thinking, and maybe we still could, that this could be a scenario where we scaled in, early today off of those lows and kind of scale into, half the position going to that resistance at, just shy of $60. We'll call it $59. And then, moving into the second, part of the position on the breakout itself, because there is some room into that $64 range if we can break out. And in my opinion, with today's candle, it's going to be tough to get that scaling in plan to work. I just don't think that will make sense from a risk to reward perspective. So it probably would now fall more into a breakout for me. But on the positive side, that would mean it was just a nice little cup and handle if we got the breakout, right? Got the nice, and pretty easy one to see. I know that you're not a wrestling fan, Cody. One day I'll convince you otherwise. One day you'll be stuck with me in the same city when they come to town, and I'll drag you with me whether you like it or not. But in the meantime, could I sign you up for a breakout of, we'll call it $59? Won't be super precise here.
Mm-hmm. As you were going on, I went ahead and looked back at the weekly, looking to see where previous levels of support and resistance are. 60 stands out to me as a pretty significant one. So I don't think I could take a breakout, or 65 is a good target. I don't know if I'd take a 59. I think I'd want the 60 and try to target 5. But a quick break at
back on the weekly, Cody.
Back on the weekly.
The weekly makes me more interested.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think I'd take a 59 breakout. I think I'd take a 60 breakout targeting 65. That's my take on it.
Okay,
those are interesting reversal characteristics over the last year, Frank. I mean, you look at that.
They've really tried to make it better. And listen, I've spent more money, going to events and things like that, buying some T-shirts. So I'm definitely in the hole when it comes to WWE. So I don't trade them much.
Can I ask you one question?
Did this chart just turn heel, or is that? I
was just going to ask.
Oh, you went there. You went there. It's a face turn. Come on, no one liked it. Everybody liked to say mean things about it. It had to do despicable things to its one-time friend. But now it's kind of starting to see the light. It came in and helped somebody out that it didn't have to. And so, it's a little bit of a slow pop and face turn here.